classing up the studios.
We do what we can, Paul.
I appreciate it.
And who do we got with us?
Tiffany Kennedy with Premier Real Estate Group and the Kennedy team.
The Kennedy can do.
Can do.
I got a question for you, Tiffany. If you were going to do real estate, would you call you?
150 million %. Yes.
She has total faith in herself.
Just a little.
And folks, before we get going here, and I have no idea what our topics are because I was running late and I'm a slacker. But anyway, first off, you can get a hold of Tim and his staff, talk with them a little bit. We really recommend, I know you do, Tim, and I think that putting the cart before the horse is unfortunately what people tend to do sometimes. And the reality is that starting a little bit early and finding out some of those hiccups that maybe you didn't even know about on your credit report or something that's going on that could cause a problem with getting the loan, to be able to address that before the last minute. I think that's critical in terms of having a smooth transaction.
Yep. Tiffany and I have worked together a little bit in the past, and we have found that even if you think you're prepared, a lot of times you could be better prepared. And whether that be a quick adjustment in credit, whether that be like our topic today is preparing your house for sale, right?
Exactly.
Maybe you think your house is ready to sell, but that 1977 shag carpet maybe just isn't going to cut it. And maybe it's going to cut it. I don't know.
But the point, depends on what you want to get out of the home.
It could cut it. Maybe you need to cut down real quick. I don't know. But the point is yes, don't put the cart before the horse. Make sure that if you plan on selling the house, if you plan on getting a loan, whatever you plan on doing in real estate, prepare a little bit early. Give a call, even if you are. What do you think? 6 months out, a year out?
It's the game plan. It's mental preparation, and that helps to set you up for meeting your financial needs and figuring out not having to jump feet first and splash in with a big splash. You can really kind of ease into it and do your research, because that's what's really most important. Not all lenders are created equal. Not all realtors are created equal. So it's important for people to do their research and what works for them and their family and their situation.
Well, you bring up a great point, Tiffany, is that not all are created equal. And, I've been around the block a couple of times back when I was in the lending business. And, boy, I tell you what, I met some lazy people out there. I swear, they just wanted the easy deals, and that's it. This is too hard for me.
We do have some regulation and some licensing now. Actually, a lot of it.
Right. But it was the Wild West, and unfortunately, and when we're talking specifically maybe about lending on the lending side, Tim, I mean, you remember this, and we were talking about that here, I think, last week, that fog the mirror, you're good to go. And if you can't fog the mirror, then you can get an exception on that, too.
Well, you don't technically have to fog the mirror to get a loan in the old days. It's, your buddy could fog the mirror for you.
Oh, right.
And it will still give you a loan. Nowadays, you have to do a whole lot more than that.
Right.
And now the real estate market is super, super good. So you go to list your house, people, I think it's a misconception, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany, but it's a misconception that my house, I just have to put a sign in the yard. I put a sign in the yard, it's going to sell for top dollar really quick. I have a perfect example in my neighborhood, actually one I talked to you about, about 4 or 5 months ago. I knew they were going to list it. I feel they significantly overpriced, and they didn't prepare the house properly, and the house is sitting there. It's still sitting there, and the sad part is they keep dropping the price. But now I think it's like we've talked about in the past. It's stigmatized as there's something wrong with it. The guy across the street, a couple doors down, they've listed their house, but they prepared properly, and they sold really, really quick. They listed after the guy and sold way before right before the other guy. So it's just sticking a sign in the yard, kind of like the old days with mortgages where you just had to fog a mirror. Those are gone. But now there's the misconception on the real estate side. All they have to do is plop a sign.
Well, yeah. I mean, the sign, it's a nice yard art, really.
It looks
to
beautiful.
To be honest with you, I mean, the days of people driving around and looking for signs, are there some that still do? Yes, of course. And we want you to drive the area, and we want you to be familiar with where you potentially would like to move. But that's not what sells the home. What sells the home is the online presence. And I think the big misconception is a lot of consumers go to Zillow or Trulia, Realtor.com, thinking that they're going to be able to see a full inventory. And that's really not the case.
There's old listings on Zillow, and then you get your Zestimate.
Exactly, and there's lawsuits with that.
It's almost like going to the county assessor and assuming that's your appraisal.
Right, and people in our Pikes Peak County that go to our MLS, well, we don't quite have an agreement with Zillow and Trulia. So we're not feeding them anything whatsoever. And so when I personally list homes, we have to list in the Denver market, which you're like, what? This isn't Denver. I don't want any of those Denver people coming down here. Well, you know what? That Denver MLS is actually what shoots it to the Zillow, to Trulia, to Realtor.com. I mean, they've had, it's all a pyramid scheme. You know, the same owners that own Zillow and Trulia own Priceline. So they're trying to dictate to our MLS to get that information. So
really?
Yeah, and so when people are searching, you know, they're searching online. So sign in the yard, yeah, that's great. Put some flyers out there, maybe a little rider. That's really to benefit the seller, the agent, on capturing those leads and qualifying those people. I mean, it benefits the seller to get rid of
the sign, nice sign in the yard, whether it's for sale by owner or whether it's listed with an agent, it's like you say, it's yard art, essentially telling the neighbors that the house is for sale. It benefits the agent if they do happen to get somebody to drive by. You get a phone call, maybe you get another buyer out of the deal, something to that effect.
Right. Now, and if you've done your research as the seller and you've gotten a really proactive agent that's going to go put that sign in the yard and then what's called door knock around the neighbors and say, hey, you want to pick your new neighbor? You know, this home is just listed for sale, and get in front of people and spread the word. I mean, that's grassroots, and that can happen, and it should happen. And there are a lot of agents out there that do work that method.
How does that work?
That's interesting.
And they're pretty successful at it.
Really?
I mean, one of our team members does it, and we don't go alone, okay? We don't, I mean, you're soliciting to a certain degree, but a lot of times that is to invite them to an open house maybe that they're having, to let them know that, you know, maybe we're going to do a big community yard sale and we're going to try to sell this house. So it's anything to drive traffic to the home, to gain as much exposure as possible, to get the home sold. That's the end goal. Sell the home.
You know, and that's a great idea. I hadn't really heard about that before. You can go door to door and say, hey, you can pick your nose and you can pick your friends. How would you like to pick your neighbors?
Yeah, not in that order.
With the open house, though, everybody wants to nose around in their neighbor's
house. Definitely.
But yeah, that's real interesting. Folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Tim with 719 Lending, and you can reach Tim directly and talk with him a little bit more about your financing needs at 719-231-4893. That's 719-231-4893, and online at 719lending.com. And we're also talking with Tiffany Kennedy, and she is with the Kennedy Group.
Yeah.
Can do. And what's a good contact point for you, Tiffany, if folks have some questions about buying or selling homes?
Yes, they can reach us at 719-999-5789 or on the World Wide Web at buysprings.com.
On the interweb.
On the interweb.
So I got
buysprings.com. How did you get that one?
I bought it. That along with Red Springs.
Well, I mean,
Buy Springs and Red Springs.
Yeah,
how long have you guys had that?
For a long time. No, but I just use that little gray matter in between my ears there, and I thought it would be a good idea. We have a property management side that runs obviously the rentals, and we have our investors hold there, and that's our Rent Springs. And then Buy Springs is obviously the inventory for buying and selling.
I was going to say, well,
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, you think so? But folks, you can give Tiffany a call, and these two folks, I'm going to tell you what, super knowledgeable people, and they're here to help you. Okay, so there's no arm twisting available with either one. Now, the fact is that it's better to be prepared, and that is what it's all about. When you call them, talk with them, let them know you're thinking about doing this. That's great. They're going to put you in line, and they're going to help you down the road. So take advantage of their knowledge and their expertise, and it's absolutely free when you give them a call. Okay.
So a couple quick things, Tiffany.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about preparing your house for sale, and we've talked about this in the past with many different ways, because sometimes you go into a house and it's almost like they're trying to get less money. You walk in and you're like,
kinda.
Did you try to get 10 grand less for this house? I mean, I've walked into quite a few
custom additions.
Some custom additions, maybe some wall art that maybe of their grandparents that you don't want to see, or the carpet, or even worse, the smells. Right? We've talked about all these things, but let's hit a few points really quickly for people to see Give me a couple ideas when you walk into a house. When they say Tiffany, come over, I want to sell my house. Give me a couple ideas or stories or past things that you've run across that maybe needed some attention.
You know what? Before you do that, when you were talking about this, I just want to share this. People get a laugh. When we bought our house, and this was many, many years ago, the market was suppressed and things. So the fact is that somebody had spent a lot of time and was a amateur type painter. And so on this wall in the kind of family room or whatever, they had painted a big mural all across the wall of some rams, in the mountains, butting heads. And one of the rams, you could tell, yeah, he was pretty well endowed.
Oh,
Is this like a full-size mural on the wall? Really?
Yep, that's what they drew on. Oh, that's fantastic.
And like I said, fairly good artist. Like that's not great.
Hey, it sold the home.
Well, actually, it was like that's the first thing we're painting over.
Well,
still bought it,
that's
though.
it, though. It's cosmetic. So you bring up a good point,
right?
Because those
Cosmetic
are
can be
things.
fixed.
Cosmetic can be fixed, and so, but how much cosmetic, and what is the price point that you're looking to get out of? So when I walk a home, I go really on my five senses. How does it look? How does it smell? Does the smell make me taste something that I don't want to taste? And when I grab for handles, are they sticky? What is that? And so those are things that, we want to overcome before we actually have the home listed, because we want the best presentation of the home. Our goal is to get it sold as soon as possible within opening weekend or within the week time, depending on the situation and of course depending on the price point. So there is a sweet spot in this marketplace, and that's really at the 250 mark. You blink and they're off the market.
So how long are houses staying on the market now? Do you know?
Well, it's starting to slow down. We're getting into the time of year where people say that it starts to slow down. However, personally, I've experienced some of the best months in November and December.
Right.
Because
I think it slows down because agents stop working.
That's a very good point.
And you're right. When I was a loan officer, and even when I was a wholesale rep, it was funny because my best months were usually at that time because other people were taking vacation.
Everybody says it slows
down.
down there, but you can have significantly good months as a realtor or as a loan officer in November and December.
Definitely.
Now, Christmas Eve, somebody's probably not going to want to go review an offer on their house on Christmas Eve. They probably want to spend time with their family.
Right.
But
You'd be
on the
surprised.
21st,
I've closed on Christmas Eve.
Have you really?
Yeah.
There
I've
you
closed
go.
on New Year's Eve.
Really?
Yeah, I've done the Eves, but and Halloween, but
I bought my house on Halloween.
yeah, it's a good time. With regard, kind of a little spooky.
Something odd about it. I don't know. I don't know why we did this.
Well, it's a good memory. You kind of nailed it. People do kind of stop working, but also our inventory. I feel like a broken record. It is simple economics. And so when you do not have the inventory and you have a high buyer demand, things are going to move. They're going to move no matter if it's August or the hot times of the month, May, June, July, or November and December. People need a place to live. People need a roof over their head.
Their lease is going to come up at some point, right?
Exactly.
Or their house is going to sell at some point. And so your lease comes up on November 22nd. You got to have a place to go on November 23rd. You can't be homeless. So they're going to be looking for places at that point.
Well, and with the military here, they come and go all the time.
Sometimes you don't know when you're.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but there is tends. May tends to be a big military move month. That's what we, people are out of school. But even in December, there's another starting the new year. Right now it would actually take less than 6 weeks to sell the current inventory of single family and patio homes.
So let's explain that. So you have. Let's say that there's 1,200 houses on the market. Okay, I'm just throwing a number out there. That's not right, but let's say there's 1,200 houses on the market. You're saying if no other houses got listed,
yep,
and people kept buying at the rate that they're buying, how long would it take to
6 weeks.
So in 6 weeks, we'd have no houses for sale.
Well, no, that's just single family and patio homes.
Right.
2 weeks for condos and townhomes.
Really?
And I'm not making this up. These are statistics that are on ppar.com. And
what's PPAR stand for those who don't know?
Pikes
PAPAR.
PAPAR. Pikes
Sounds
Peak
like a high-end
Association.
restaurant.
It is. It is delicious.
They do charge a lot at the bar, so
From the bar.
to join their club for sure.
But it is a great group of people. So yeah, 6 weeks to sell that inventory,
Wow.
2, even less. So
Wow.
that just means that there is that demand. I mean, we've been ranked. I know there's been a lot of buzz around that. 80922 ranked 7 by Realtor.com for zip codes
In the entire country.
in the entire country, not just the state.
Which one? 809-2.
80922. So that's
Where's that?
basically Constitution to Stetson Hills, right along that Powers
Powers?
corridor.
Okay.
So they got new builds over there. They're bringing in businesses. They're bringing in, extracurricular activities, and that is
And people drive 7 billion miles an hour over there.
And
Because
they
you got to get to
do.
you got to get to Costco, man.
you
they,
do.
They close
they've
at
got
8.
good
You got to get
pizza.
there.
They got samples and pizza. Let's get it right.
Yeah.
And actually, the samples in early, so you really. I understand why people are in a hurry now. Thanks for bringing up the samples.
I've had my lunch for the day at Costco.
I've gone in to buy stuff and like
fine
I'm not
dining
hungry.
really is fine
It's
dining.
fantastic. And they let you have more than one sample without flack. It's
And
fantastic.
when they're driving that fast, it only takes like 15 to 20 minutes to get anywhere you want to go
Exactly.
in
Super
Colorado
speed.
Springs.
So that's that whole zip code right there. When I drive out there, does it go all the way up to like Mark Scheffel? Is that how far out it goes?
I believe,
It's a big, but it's a concentrated area.
it's
I
a
guess
big
is what I should say.
corridor, and what I've seen, because I've listed and sold homes, it actually kind of tails off, and it's a big area, and you have a range of homes in that area from anywhere from the low 200s to the high 400s, and you have
You have
new
a lot of
builds
townhomes in there, and
and you have senior communities that are going up right along the, and so there's a lot of
I mean,
growth.
they have tons of stuff. They have gyms out there. They have I see it. There's a dog wash where you like drive your dog in to wash. There's a brand new drive-through car wash out there. There's every chain store from King Soopers to Target to not Sportsman's Warehouse or some sort of sport.
Yeah.
So something out there. Sierra Trading Post. There's just lots and lots of stuff out there
They're
because
bringing it in.
there's lots of people out there.
Well, it says we're in Colorado Springs. They have a church of every denomination too.
Exactly.
They have 9 of them actually. Every
Yeah.
denomination.
Yeah.
And our military. But when I've listed the homes there, I mean, even families that have bought last year or months,
Mhm.
they have not had to come to the table with money,
Really?
really. And so that marketplace, I've said it before, will it level out? Maybe, it probably will eventually. But right now it's not so astronomical. It's supply and demand. And the market, the consumer is driving that market price.
So you can get in there, and I mean, I guess probably we're looking at full price offers at least, though.
Yeah, well, and and with that being said, I also just listed, a home last week that was sold as is. It was an estate sale. The week prior, we're not doing anything to the home. We're not taking down the wallpaper. We're not removing carpet. It is as is. And in the marketplace that we have, we're still able to get a great value out of it and not have the consumer have to dump a whole bunch of money and then be overpriced for that market. That's important. I mean, we know there are certain things. Now, when it's sold as is, we might say, okay, we're not doing any of those cosmetic things, but if it's a significant safety concern that we'll have to address, we're going
The
to have
appraiser
to
may make
address
you
it.
address it anyway.
And the conditions.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about that really quick, because you said you don't want to dump a ton of money into it and then have to be overpriced. Give me a couple ideas of where you dump. I mean, obviously, putting a swimming pool in the backyard is a very good idea and worth every penny. But outside of that,
in Arizona.
In Phoenix, yes. In Colorado Springs, you might not get your money back. We don't know. So what are a few things that are, and this is, again, just generally speaking, what are some places that maybe you don't get that return on investment when you go to prepare your house to sell?
Well, people think like enclosed patios and big patios
Mhm.
and things, they do have value. Where we're seeing more consumers want to see the changes in the master bathrooms,
So that would be a good place.
Kitchens.
That's a good place to spend the money. Let's talk about before we do that, let's talk about a few things that are a bad places to spend money.
Yeah, anywhere other than those places.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's easy.
If you have, bad siding, so the essentials, the safety items of the roof, you want the bones of the roof, or, the home to be good. So the roof, the siding, the utility room.
What about building a huge deck off the back?
I mean, it's preference. It does, there are appraisers there are certain adjustments that they give to that. I mean, you have to build it by code. You can't just go, have a custom build and do a wonky
so
job.
I saw a guy one time that built a basketball court in kind of it wasn't a full size, but it was a good, like a half court. It was a pretty big, it was a good, nice professional cement slab. It wasn't like a sport court or anything. It was a professional cement slab with the lines and the hoop and everything. But this was like a $240,000 price range or something like that. And he'd spent, I don't know, $20,000 on this thing, something like that. And he was really, really pushing. I wasn't selling a house, obviously. I was just visiting with him about it because he was trying to sell his house. And he was really pushing that this has so much value. I spent, $30,000 or $20,000 on this. He didn't understand that he wasn't going to get that money out of it.
Right.
Because it just wasn't.
It was valuable to him.
It was very valuable to him. He loved basketball.
Uh-huh.
The little old couple who's going to come in, and the height on their family on average is 4'11". They're probably not super into slam dunking baskets. They could be.
Well,
remember Spud Webb from the 80s? He was about that. He won the slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
So maybe Spud Webb could buy it. I don't know.
But that goes along with what you were talking about, things you should do, things you shouldn't do. There again, when we bought the house, our house, that fact is that I guess, as it turned out, we found that the guy, his wife was very short little lady, and so they had the kitchen done in such a way where it was several inches lower,
right.
The countertops and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
did you notice that when you bought it?
Oh yeah,
really?
You felt like you were
a giant?
Land of the Giants,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what in the world?
So Tiffany, I have something. I'm just thinking of Paul here. He walks into this house with a gigantic mural of 2 rams that, with all the details that you could possibly imagine, and a whole huge gigantic wall, and he has a kitchen built for the Munchkins. And he still bought the house.
Well,
right.
it was my ex, and she was like, "Oh, I see all these possibilities and everything," and I'm thinking possibly we should go look at something else.
Yeah.
But I mean,
if the price is right.
Well, and the price was right,
yeah.
and so that's what it was. And yes,
could be area, could be price,
and slowly,
sweat equity,
right? And that's what it mainly was, sweat equity, and it was a room at a time is how we tackled that.
Mm-hmm.
Is upgrading it just one room at a time.
I had similar problems when I bought my house, but not quite as detailed as your mural, but I had pink carpet through the whole thing. Nice. It was like rose color. I don't think it had been changed in 40 years. It had a certain
shag
smell to it.
I almost smell it now. The kind that hits your tongue.
It was amazing. Yeah. But the walls, you didn't even notice this until later when we took the carpet out, that the walls were like a rose color as well, but the carpet was so pinkish that it looked like maybe it was just kind of an off-white on the walls. They had a lot of little things like that, and we tried cleaning the carpet after we bought it. But we really liked the house. We liked the area. We cleaned it 4 or 5 times. It's like, I still smell it. We really need to do something.
Just pulling it up.
Pretty soon we start ripping the carpet out. We're like, we've got to change something. This is like a month after buying the house. We've got to change something. And the more we ripped out, obviously, oh my gosh. So getting it out of there was huge. But we still bought the house in spite. And keep in mind, it had pink carpet through the whole entire upstairs, down the stairs, all the way through the downstairs. It's a split level house. And then when we got to the entryway, I was going to redo the entryway. They had a pergo. And then we had pergo. I pulled the pergo out, which was on top of carpet. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then I pulled, and it was the pink carpet. So then I pulled
the pink
carpet off, and there was old ceramic tile under that was poorly mortared, so it was loose. So then I had to pull that out and then scrape it, and then so we had 3 layers of flooring in there.
That's crazy.
It's kind of it, but we still buy houses in spite of that if it's the right house. But these people could have easily, there's no way we could have got the house because we were already pushing our budget. Buying the house where it was.
Where'd you buy the house from? Austin Powers?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
That's groovy, baby.
Very groovy.
It was a very groovy house, I've got to say. But they could have easily gotten more.
Carpeting,
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but had they done some of the things that Tiffany's going to talk to us about here, we're coming up on the half-hour mark. As soon as we come back, Tiffany's going to hit a whole bunch of points of ways to actually make the house worth more. These people could have got a lot more than what we paid for it, and they could have sold it a lot faster had they done a few of these things.
You know what? Getting the bang for your buck, and that's what it's all about. And here's what you need to do is you need to keep it right here on Cruisin' Oldies 101.3 FM. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with a lot more with Tim from 719 Lending and Tiffany with the Kennedy Group all about real estate, financing, and more. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're out.
So, everybody on Facebook land, Tiffany, we are going to do this next half hour, we're going to hit all of the things to make your house worth more money.
Mm-hmm.
The first half hour, we just talked about smells and traffic problems.
Now we're going to talk about cleaning the house, cleaning the front yard, landscaping, all that fun stuff.
Where are you going to actually put your efforts into making your house
Makes
worth
a big
more money?
difference. Curb appeal.
Curb appeal's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that house I told you in my neighborhood that having a hard time selling, it's still up for sale. It's been like 6 months, and now they're actually lower than the other houses that have already sold.
Mm.
And people still kind of come by, see some looky-loos, and I talked to the owner, and he's like, well, if people just make me an offer. I'm like, well, when you price $20K too high, people don't want to come in and
you feel like you're going to insult them. It's like it's going to kill me if I tell them how much I pay for this.
Yeah. I thought Tiffany would buy it, move into my neighborhood.
I tried. I tried, and won't talk. That's okay.
They'll just buy it and rent it out as a investment property. Yeah.
There's a few rentals in my neighborhood that
Are
rent.
there any crack houses? Because
There
so
are.
that'd be a great
Yeah.
opportunity.
It would be an opportunity.
Every neighborhood needs a good
We
crack
do
house.
need one.
Well, you know what's even scarier is the meth. The meth
Oh, yeah.
is running rampant,
Yep.
and there's a lot of investors that come in that don't do the proper
Meth tests and- wow.
and then they do the renovations, and then they're kind of SOL with a big bill.
So we had
But-
I had a meth lab on one about 2 years ago on a house, and the people, it's not required to get the tests done, but the lady who bought it was, they do like pastoral work where they bring kids in that are troubled or whatever, and so they're buying this house, had a lot of extra rooms, or I don't exactly know what the whole house was, but she said she kept getting this feeling she needed to do a meth test. Okay. So she does it, comes back, and it's like super positive. Apparently, somebody's living there, smoked crack in one of the rooms or something like that. So they went through.
We got 30 seconds.
And it was about $40,000.
Yeah.
To fix it.
That's average. Could go down to the studs, and
Expensive.
1 out of 3 homes are testing positive for meth.
What?
3?
Yeah. Yep. 1 out of 3. So this guy.
Maybe I do have a meth house in my neighborhood. I just don't know it. Holy
No,
cow!
I mean that we had a couple of our homes tested with our buyers, and the guy that we use, he's fantastic. There's not a lot of them here. Anyways, he had made the comment that 1 out of 3 of the homes that he test positive.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's nuts.
That's completely
That's because
crazy.
everybody can cook it
Well,
up.
think about how many times or how long we were all vacant.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to Pros on Call. Paul Scheidler here with you at 7:30 in the a.m. here on Cruising Oldies 101.3 FM. Thanks for tuning in, spending some time with us on your morning drive. Hey, we've been talking to everything real estate over here, financing. We've been talking about buying, selling homes. We're going to get into some stuff here now where we're going to really talk about things that really make a difference when you're selling a home, and things that don't make a difference that you can throw some money at and really never get your return on. But real quick, I wanted to just let you know, the folks that are here in the studio are here to help you, and you can give them a call. There's no charge, no arm twisting or anything else like that. You really should be prepared before you go out there buying and selling a home. Get your loan in place. Make sure that your home is set up in such a way where you're going to get the most out of that, or that you get the best deal on the one that you're buying. So you can deal with professionals, and it's absolutely free to give a call to Tim at 719 Lending. You can do that at 231-4893, and that's 719-231-4893, online 719lending.com. And Tiffany is with the Kennedy Group, and you can call Tiffany at 719-999, you like that, 5789, that's 999-5789, and online that is buysprings.com.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we are going to talk about how to make your house right. How to prepare it.
Preparing that home.
It took us a half hour. It took us a half hour of random talking.
Well, we were getting.
What happens when I get around Tiffany?
We were getting a little goofy too, so it's like that's okay. That's okay.
Sometimes Tiffany and I don't get to the point too quick, but I think we're about to do it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, when we go in and we're going to visit with families, each person, each group has something different that they're looking to get out of it. It might not, is money a bottom line? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But depends on how much money and how much they're willing to do in the home. And the price point, like we said, there is a sweet spot in this area. When we go in, we look at a couple of different things. Curb appeal goes a long way. And so we do our best to clean up the front door, remove the cobwebs, sweep, I know a lot of leaves are falling. It's beautiful. Break it up. Okay.
Do you sing when you do that?
Yeah. In fact, I have a video coming up. Break it up. Bag it up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about curb appeal real quickly, because that's so obviously, people want to come and look at the house, but the first thing they do when they pull up, you have neighbors' houses that have curb appeal as well, right? So neighbors' houses will set the tone a little bit as well, but you can't control your neighbor's house. You can control your house that you're selling. So when you pull up, you're going to have, it's like you meeting somebody and it's the first impression. So you have 20 seconds to make a first impression, right? You look at that. Okay, I got a first impression. What are 2 or 3 main things for people to hit? I've heard door paint is huge.
The
and
front
that's
door
something
paint.
that I've heard that, putting time and effort into just the front door, painting it, maybe putting some new hardware on it or something like that, which seems a little silly, but
there was a statistic running around, and it was, I think, 96% of return on investment on just painting the front door, adding it, sprucing it up, removing
$10 of paint.
and that's huge. Because that is a first impression. The real first impression is the online, the pictures to get them to get there, and that we're going to talk about as well.
But when they first pull up to the house,
they're looking. This is looking at what's neighbors, the area.
So what are a few things then? So you have neighbors in an area, which again you can't control. Unless
I knocked on the doors. I've said, "Hey, we're going to sell this home. Can you please clean up your front yard?"
Do you mind putting the Chevy Nova?
I'll help you. I have a
back
moving truck. We can throw it all in there. I'll take it to the dump.
wow.
I high five them, and you miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Well,
so if you don't ask them,
yeah.
I'm not doing it to say, "Hey, you live horribly." It's all in presentation.
Could you take that 74 Torino that's up on blocks off there?
And a lot
I
of
have
times,
some old tires. We can bolt on there and push it to the backyard.
Baby running.
It just depends. So yes, the front door does have a big return.
What about like windows? Do you think that's a big deal?
It depends. Yes, it depends on the price point that you want to get, and depends on how much you want to spend. There was a time not too long ago where we really were on backlog for our windows because of the hailstorm.
Really? Yeah.
So, and the siding.
Think about that.
We have to kind of there's a lot of variable in it. So I don't really go that far, but a can of paint on your front door will go far. And then
maybe trimming some trees.
Some trees, pulling the weeds. I'm not saying go lay sod and get some,
Don't go crazy. Make it look clean, right?
That's all.
Okay.
Rake up some things. If you have a lot of weeds, I can't grow grass in the front in our front yard to save my soul. So I just mow the weeds down.
Do you have a pine tree by chance?
I do have a pine tree.
I have the same problem.
It's very acidic.
That is very funny because in my yard, very, very similar. I tell people it's my own hybrid. It's a cross of Kentucky bluegrass, tall fescue, and indigenous weeds.
Yes.
It kind of hurts to step on in bare feet, but when you mow it, it looks fine.
It looks really
beautiful.
good.
It's nice and green, and then just mow it and
and I've known people that have actually spray painted their front. I don't.
In California, was the whole thing.
They do that.
They put the watering restrictions on.
So they
that
just
was a
spray
big
paint
business.
Paint the yard.
Coming around, and they would paint your yard green.
Yep. I'm not saying do that. Okay. I'm just saying kind of
make it look nice.
Yeah, within limits, and of course we talked about our 5 senses on getting in there. Less is more in a home. So when people walk in a home, they want to see how their lives will be in the home. They don't want to see necessarily all the great memories that you've created in this home.
Meaning you don't want
take down your stuff.
Take down your stuff. Plain and simple. Your kids are cute
nice
to you,
way.
But my kids are cuter to me. So I want to envision my kids on the wall, not necessarily your kids on the wall. So you're going to remove that, leave it kind of almost bare, not really bare, but minimal.
Less is more.
Take down your collection of turn of the century mortician tools and things like that.
Yeah, strange things. Yes.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. But that also brings up, you want to not to sidetrack, but when you are preparing your home for list, those things that are memorable or value to you, or prescription drugs or whatever it may be, get those out. Don't have them out
Medicine
in the open.
cabinets.
Yeah,
Clean them out.
I'm not saying people are pulling drawers open, but you're not there, so protect yourself. See why.
Well, that's actually one. That's a very good point. You're not there when people are walking through your house, and I had this discussion with another neighbor of mine actually across the street. He sold his house fairly quickly, but he was having a trouble of Tim, my house is so nice. He's telling me I ran a water line to the back shed. I got the electrical running, to these outbuildings. It's such a great setup. He's like, but people don't know it, because what happens is the buyer comes in with their agent, and you are the seller. You're out of the house, so who knows what that other agent's telling them? Like, oh yeah, the people could be digging through drawers. They could be looking at stuff that maybe they shouldn't be looking at, or seeing it in a way that they they're not super partial to. So one thing that he did, which I thought was smart, because he had a lot of cool features in his house, is he went through, because you're not there to sell the house, he got little stands from Staples, right? And we talked about this, and he went through and he printed off little things in each room, like in the count,
special features,
exactly, special features. But he didn't overwhelm them. It was like one in the kitchen,
as you walk through the home.
Right.
Did you notice this has, heated floors?
Did you notice heated floor? Did you notice the new double pane windows? Hey, check out that we had all the cabinets refaced 1 year ago, with new hardware, or out in the outshed. Look, we ran water out here.
Yep. No, that's so smart.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've never heard about that before. It
works on the high-end side and on the estate sold as is side as well. So not to jump around, but it does make a huge difference. So we've done that on homes. We've had a home that quite a large home, and listed at a good amount, but there's carpet everywhere. There was carpet in the bathrooms, carpet in the kitchen, carpet, and
carpet in the kitchen.
Yeah, and so
that's a great idea.
And in the kids' bathroom, so you have little boys that are perfect aim. It's great.
And so instead, people go all HGTV in their head, and they're thinking they're adding it up, and they really have no clue on how much this really costs.
Right.
So we have the professionals come in, and we get bids, and then we put those bids
when you're listing the house,
we're listing the home, to overcome those objections.
How do you tell the people about that?
Well, it's in the home on those stands.
Oh, okay.
And as you walk through, hey, you can have this is the quote, this is the type of material.
Interesting.
That we got.
So you can say, hey,
and you're welcome to use our contractors.
Carpet can be replaced for X amount.
Yes, and so that's why the home is listed at what it is, because you do these.
It's an interesting idea, because I look at it and I think, okay, hardwood floor, $6-7 grand, right, and you have a $1,500 quote for this area. Oh, okay. Now all of a sudden it's maybe different. This is doable.
We did the same thing with the deck. We did the same thing. You can get a brand new full suite appliance with our this and put that in there, because they were older appliances.
Very good idea. So you go through and say Lowe's has a sale of $2,500. You get all new appliances.
You have to put your little fine. These are subject to change, but when there are providers and contractors that we work with, this is a relationship business, not a transactional business. So from the high end side of pointing out the special features, to the estate sale or sold as is side of saying, hey, don't go and start calculating up in your head things that aren't really real.
We've already had quotes from professionals.
Yeah, and by all means, help yourself to get new ones. Okay.
Would you do that with painting as well?
Yes, we've done it with every part of it, from the landscape to the deck work to electrical work, this, that, and the other thing. It's preparation, folks. It's preparing for what the buyer will object to, and then saying, don't worry, we already got this, and feel free to call them and talk to them.
And I think it's understanding. You said preparing for what the buyer's going to object to. It's understanding that they're going to object to stuff. It's accepting the fact that what I have isn't perfect. It's not what everybody wants. Just because I raised my 9 kids here, this isn't exactly what everybody wants. What everybody wants is going to be different. So let me understand what the common objections are, and how do I overcome those?
Exactly.
Not trying to put anybody down here, Tiffany, but this is really interesting, and it speaks to me about why you choose wisely when you're choosing a real estate professional. You've been in this game, you know what's going on. Like what Tim was talking about, that you already know there's going to be objections. You meet those before they even come. But that's choosing the right person.
That is. Thank you.
And the other. Now that we mention that, do you ever have anybody, because I imagine this happens, do you have anybody that you go in and you say, okay, Miss Lady, you're selling your house, but it smells like cat.
Oh, yeah.
And the carpet's horrible. You have too many pictures of your ancestors on the wall. And now, I know you have those conversations, but do people ever get offended by that?
Yes, and I think it comes down to presentation.
Okay.
And it's all in the relationship that you build with that person. And, you know, when
They've designed the house the way that they want it,
you know,
right?
and I it's nothing. I want to get what do you want out of it? Because each person's why is different.
Right.
And so once you know what their why is, why are you selling? What is important to
You
you
need
to
top
get
dollar,
out
you
of
need
it?
to get out, you need to, something happen, right?
And you have to ask the right questions. It's all about asking the right questions in order to prepare them and then present to them the solution on how to get what they
Buying
want.
a real estate is a very emotional thing,
It
right?
is. You wear a lot of hats.
They wear a lot, but I'm looking at it and I think, what if we could just turn it into as factual as possible? And here's what I like to tell people: when you're preparing to sell or buy, here's some facts.
Yeah.
Fact number one would be your house needs some stuff done. Don't take offense to it. You need to do some stuff. I smell something when I walk in.
Right.
Just okay. Fact number two: it might not have appraised for what you have it sold for.
Oh, that's a big one.
Be prepared to drop the price. Fact number three: when they come in, they get an inspection done on this. You're going to feel like you live in a cardboard box because they're going to tear everything from the electrical to the HVAC to the roof. You're going to see a lot of things. So be prepared to pay for some changes. Fact number four: the loan may not go as planned, and you have nothing you can do about it. And not only that, you don't even know what's going on because you're the seller,
Exactly.
right? You are flying completely blind, and you're trusting that these other parties are doing what they're supposed to do. All of these things are actual facts that I think if every seller knew, and it wasn't so like, oh, I love your house, we're gonna get top dollar. Instead, it was just like,
Oh, yeah.
these are the facts. These are what can happen. Be prepared for it. This can really happen. This, you know, when we do an open house, people may dig through your drawers. Like, that can happen. We try to prevent it, but it can happen. Don't be completely shocked. Let's prepare for it. I was listening to a audio thing yesterday with Tony. You know Tony Robbins, right?
Oh, yes.
No, it's Tony Robbins. So one thing that he was saying on this, it's a 30-year-old CD, like super old, right? Like this recording of this seminar, and he said there are no failures, only outcomes. Which I know it sounds a little kooky for people who aren't into that, but if you think about that, you're selling your house. We're not going to fail selling your house, but there are outcomes, and all we have to do is prepare for the outcomes.
Yes.
Prepare for the open houses and the possible goods and bads of this. And I personally think too many agents go out and say, beautiful house, we're going to get top dollar, everything's going to be perfect, which makes it difficult, in my opinion, for an agent that is like, here's the realities, and I'm going to prepare you properly, and I'm going to help you navigate this difficult waters of this particular transaction. Please don't get offended or upset, but this is my job. Like, if I go to a doctor, Paul, and if I got something wrong with me, I don't want him to say, oh, Tim, it's going to be okay. Just tell me what's going on, man. I want him to say, okay, here's a scenario. Here's the best way that we
Shoot you straight. Right?
Exactly. Here's how we can get through it. So in the last 15 minutes, what else can we do to prepare our house? We have the front door. We have decluttering, right?
Cleaning. When we do our listing side, we do a variety of things, and one of them is cleaning the home, staging the home, so that we stage and clean almost simultaneously.
You guys have professional cleaners that come in?
Yes, we have we ask you to clean to the best, and it's not saying that you're, not clean by any means. We just have certain things that we're
clean enough.
We're looking for, and so we do a professional clean. We also include staging. Depends. We either use your stuff or bring in items as well to help stage. There are great stagers. There are agents. That's why it's so important for people to do. But there are some phenomenal agents out there that are very good at staging homes. And so,
what does it cost to stage a home? Like if your house is vacant.
Well, it just depends on who your agent is, if they're using their own materials or if you're hiring a company. So ours is included in our listing agreement and our commissions that we.
Wow.
So I don't ask for anybody to pay. We don't ask them to pay for the cleaning.
Okay, that's actually a huge thing because it's relatively expensive. That's why I asked the question. Is sometimes to get a good stage, it's relatively expensive and professional. These are things that you always have to fork out of your pocket. I actually didn't. I know there's a couple agents that did that. I didn't realize you guys did that.
Oh yeah, well we do. When we just negotiate our commissions, and then we get paid when we get the job done. I don't ask for any money to do the staging, the cleaning. We even have a handyman service to help overcome those objections as well, and that could include the landscaping. It just depends on what's been negotiated in that conversation.
So we need to have the house. We need to have the house
Ready
clean, professionally staged if possible, or at least decluttered as much as possible.
Yep.
So you had mentioned earlier there's a few things in the house. You said the bones of the house prepare you to sell. So that's going to be if your roof can't be in disrepair, your electrical needs to be addressed. Your electrical panel needs to be addressed because around here we have a lot of old electrical panels around here. And it's a couple $1,000s to have that.
I mean, it just depends on your electrician, but they can range from about $1,500 to $3,500. It depends on what kind of bad boy system you're getting.
Right, and then from there, you've mentioned to me, obviously the curb appeal,
your furnace, your water heater.
So those are
bones.
the bones of the house. Sometimes you don't have the cash flow to fix the bones of the house, right?
And so
those may be
negotiable.
Those may be bigger items. So let's say you don't. Either they're in okay condition, or you don't have the cash flow to really change that. What are some other small things we can do? You mentioned obviously cleaning and staging. You mentioned something a little bit ago, cleaning the doorknobs.
Yeah, the doorknobs and the light fixtures and the ceiling
So you have a white
fans.
light fixture that little
You take
Tommy
them all
keeps
off, you put them in the dishwasher, the light fixtures, right? You just take some time and clean the handles.
and it just looks
and
nice.
the face switches where you hit the light all the time. I mean, think about those are common daily things that you use. So
And usually if your light switches are disgusting, it's possible your kid wiped his hands on the wall somewhere.
right.
Maybe
Well,
cleans
I
the
have
walls
my
off.
kids' handprints all over my clothes. Custom art.
These are little things that we're blind to because we see them every day.
You live with them every day.
No longer do they stand out.
Right.
Whereas if we were to go into somebody else's home or whatever, we would notice those, which is kind of strange. But
It is kind of strange.
It's like I go in and just judge people.
Yeah.
Oh, this place is disgusting. There's no light
No,
switches.
that's not it at all. That's not it at all. But
Tiffany
I have
lives in a palace, and so if she walks into people's
please,
houses,
with chickens
Oh.
everywhere.
she lives in a palace with chickens.
But you know,
And children.
and chickens and children.
Do you have the people in front of you that are throwing the rose petals down?
Oh
as you
yeah,
walk
right,
on?
right.
That's why
maybe in
that's
my
why
dreams
she's
that I
good
woke
when
up.
she goes into listing houses. So
Maybe
here's a
it
couple
goes.
other things, and we've talked about this in the past. We have light switches,
Uh-huh.
door handles, but dollar-wise, where you get the most bang for your buck, we've talked about master bathrooms
and kitchens.
and kitchens.
Mhm.
And a master bathroom could be something as simple as doing a new tile surround.
Or just bathrooms, yeah.
Okay.
And I
Or new
have to say,
countertop.
one of the number one thing that really sells the home are pictures. Professional pictures,
Really?
people. Professional pictures, not pictures with the agent's iPhone or Android
Hold on, I
phone.
got this.
They
Click,
may
click,
be
click.
professional selfie takers, but they are not real estate photography.
They have a lot of followers on
photographers.
Instagram, but they do not.
And I'm not trying to say that those, but if you really want to sell your home, if you do those things, even if you don't clean necessarily, if you get the right pictures, the house will look like it's
Well,
clean.
let me ask you this. Here's a theory. I don't list houses for sale. Tiffany lists houses for sale. I do loans. But here's kind of a theory I have on that is the online presence, which would be the pictures,
Mhm.
the online
Video.
presence mixed with a justifiable price. It doesn't have to be bullseye, but a justifiable price. So the online pictures, that presentation online is what will get people
Drive the traffic.
to get to your house. Okay, and it's not because they drove by and said, "Oh, hey, look at that." There's a sign. That may happen rarely, but I think those online pictures. So if that's the case, let's say you have a lot of people coming to the house, but nobody's making an offer on the house. That to me says your online presence is good and the price is justified. But when they get to the house, there's something wrong
Mhm.
in the house that people aren't liking. Now, if you're not getting traffic to the house, then I think your online presence is a miss,
Mhm.
way overpriced, or usually your photography's garbage.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's why feedback is so important, why we always appreciate honest feedback from the people that do actually view the home, because that is a good indicator on what we do need to pay attention to, whether it be price or whether it is the carpet that smells or the odor. And typically, and I've said it a couple of times, but your senses are the indicators that I get most on my feedback. It smelled like this, it looked like that, it was this, whatever it may be.
Smells cost money is what I've
Smells
heard.
cost money.
Yeah.
They do. They really do. So you want to make it smell all fresh and pumpkiny and autumny, whatever you want to smell like.
Pumpkins, Paul.
Pumpkin spice.
We need pumpkin
right
spice
now.
in
Well,
the
I was
house.
going with the holiday feel in the fall.
Everything's
But
pumpkin right now.
everything.
And in July, we wanted like, I don't know, watermelons or something like that.
Yeah,
But right
you
now,
know.
we want pumpkin
Well, in
spice.
July, we wanted to smell like pop bottle rockets.
Exactly. Right?
Well, some people do.
Gunpowder,
Yeah.
essentially. Right? That's what we need in July. So what are a few other tips that we can look at? So we have master bathrooms.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say you can't afford or don't want to spend the time and money on a new bathtub surround or a new countertop. What can we do in that master bathroom to help spruce it up?
You can also, I mean, if obviously adding the staging items and cleaning it up, but then, you know, there's always allowances. People have done, I'm asking this price and I know the carpet isn't good. I can't afford to do the carpet, but I can give a credit for the buyer to do the carpet. You know, a lot of lenders look at that as an incentive.
Call it an inducement to buy, according to Fannie Mae, Tiffany.
Well, just.
You know how the government is.
Oh dear, no. But you know, I'm not necessarily saying that's always the way to go. But there's always room for negotiation.
There's room for negotiation. So if I'm in the bathroom and I want to make it present better, maybe throw a coat of paint on the wall.
Yeah, I can paint it. I was going to say paint the cabinets. Just depends. I mean, if there's wallpaper on there, it's a big task to take the wallpaper down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend like painting the wallpaper. But you know, there's great tips and tricks on Pinterest and HGTV.
How many people respond good to like just throw a random statistic out there? Just the best guess you have. How many people respond well when you go through and say, here's the 20 items you need to do to get top dollar for your house? How many people respond well to that?
Well, it depends on what stage of the game they're in.
Okay.
And so it's all received differently, I guess.
It depends, Paul.
It does. It really depends.
That's why I laugh, because I can only imagine, you know, you're going to get some people that are like, oh, thank you so much, we're going to get ready on that. And somebody else is going to be like, holy black, blah, blah, blah.
I always thought it would be a good idea to have a third party, like
like a
third party come in like as a service. Yeah, it's like good cop, bad cop. You're like, we're gonna get top dollar. It's gonna be awesome. Don't worry. But I got this service. They're gonna tell us how to get top dollar. Have them randomly come in and be like, this house smells like cats. The carpet's horrible. You have too many pictures of grandma on the wall. And then you can be like, oh my.
Let's fix this.
Jeez, we better fix this. This guy's a professional.
That's a technique. Yeah, that many people use. And, you know, it's a team kind of
good cop,
effort.
Good realtor, bad realtor.
Yeah, but I just say,
we got this guy on our team. He's not very nice.
I'm bipolar, so you're going to get both in one body.
We'll show up on Tuesday. You don't know who.
That saves time.
Saves time.
It does save time.
I got a quick question for you. We're running low on time, but I'm just kind of curious. You got an older house, right? And so freshening it up, making it look like the things that people are looking at in the newer houses. And the reason I asked is Service Auto Glass is on our show, and they talked about their shower enclosures that they can do very inexpensively. They're the updated frameless type and clear glass that never gets dirty. Is that something the person wants to do, is to update it to the things that people are looking at, say, the Parade Home houses?
Yes, and we also encourage people to walk model homes. If you're looking to
the
list your
homes,
home, walk the model homes and see what they have.
They have professionals that do these things.
They do, and then you're going to get a feel of, you know, if you're asking prices that are competitive to the model homes, then, well, shoot, we got some work to do, or maybe we don't. But at least it's a really good indicator. These are professionals that have already done it, and I encourage that. Highly encourage that.
That's a great idea. I mean, you can get all of that right there in one place and decide, okay, is it worth it or not? Now, here's my other question, though, real quick, that I'm curious about. Have you ever had somebody that you gave the 20-item list to, and they said, we're going to get right on that, and they got everything done, they cleaned up their house and everything, and they go, Tiffany, we really like this place. I think we want to just stay here.
Yes, actually, it was like my third listing ever.
Really?
Yes, and I had advised them to, I was like, They were kind of on we finished the basement. Okay. I don't know. It was just a smart idea at the time before the market went higher and prices went higher. And so after they finished the basement, they came to me and they said, "We really love our house and we want to keep it now."
It's beautiful.
And
Why would we ever want to move?
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad we did
I'm
that
really
together.
good with advice, apparently.
Invite me over for dinner sometime. You know, no
Yep.
hard feelings.
So yeah, that was fun. You learn, right?
Well, that's good. I appreciate you coming on the show, Tiffany.
We're so thankful to be here. Thank you so much.
It's so in the last 2 minutes that we have, let's hit like bullet point, like rapid fire, the points that we talked about. Go ahead and hit a few of them.
Well, I know we said the curb appeal, front door,
Yep.
cleaning up, light fixtures, door handles, those kind of things that you're touching, your 5 senses, clean, declutter, walk a model home, and professional pictures.
Professional pictures,
and you can even, if you want to do a pre-inspection, you can do a pre-inspection.
What's a pre-inspection?
You hire an inspector to inspect your home, and they give you the laundry list of items that if you want to be proactive and spend the money on doing, you certainly can. I walk the home and give those items anywhere when I list the home.
So I have a question on that. Don't you have to, if you know that
then
you have to disclose it,
blatant
right?
defects, yeah.
So if you hire an inspector, you're running the risk though of, I didn't realize this was a problem. I have to disclose it.
And in the same breath, you're saying, hey, we have pride in our home ownership, and so we knew that these were some items. Here, Mr. Buyer, we've already done the inspection. We always encourage the inspectors to go.
A world of full disclosure and honesty is what you're pushing for.
Goodness, right?
Yeah,
She's pushing for a crazy world. This is
that's
insane. America. That's how we do it here, Paul. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you being on, and if anybody here on Facebook or on the radio has questions, give Tiffany a call. She can help you prepare your house. She might help you so much that you want to stay in the house. In fact, that's been a common problem. But she's able to come out and help you. Is there any cost for you to go out? If somebody says, "Hey, I'm thinking about selling my house in 6 months. Can you come out and talk to me about price, procedures, and what do I need to do to fix my house?"
Yeah, no cost at all.
No cost at all.
Mm-mm.
Professional staging. She even has a moving truck. She bought a moving truck.
Yep.
So you list a house with her, she'll let you use the moving truck. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
You know,
Thank
folks,
you,
I always say that if it's for free, it's for me. So here's the deal. You can get free advice, expert information from these folks. So give Tim a call directly, 719-231-4893. That's 231-4893. And also 719lending.com online. With Tiffany, you can give her a call at 999. I think that's an interesting number. 719-999. I'll try to say it. Let's see here. Spit it out. 3780, 5789. What contact?
Let's get it all in
5789.
999-5789.
Thank you.
All in one swoop,
I
just
know,
like
when I
that.
did this, it always happens. Then my contact drifts, and I'm like going, "What the is
It's
that?"
so easy, it's forgettable.
It's so easy.
And online it is buysprings.com, and that's easy enough to remember. So, Tim, Tiffany, I can't thank you guys enough for being here. It's always a great time with you guys here, and the time goes way too fast, so I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
You.
Okay, and I'm going to get out of here for the day. I want you to keep it right here on Cruisin' Oldies 101.3 FM. You got your favorites of the 60s, 70s, and more. Coming up, Radio Shopping Show a little bit later on this morning where you can live large for less. I'll be back tomorrow with some more great guests. Everybody be safe. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. Catch you then. We're out.
We are out of here. Great show. Thank you, Tiffany Kennedy.
Thanks, buddy.
That was always,
Thank you, Paul.
yeah, that's always good. I saw you coming.